Hi everyone, and welcome to this video here on the Yoga by Candace YouTube channel. As you can see, I am in my studio. I have Namaste Studios here in Ridgefield, Connecticut, and I wanted to introduce a new series. This is going to be a 4-part series about restorative yoga. This video series is brought to you by Carolina Mornings. They were so generous to send me these 2 bolsters I really love. You can check them out at zafu.net, zafu.net. And one of the things I love about them, actually it's the #1 thing I love about these bolsters, is that they are rectangular. And I prefer a rectangular bolster over a circular one because you have many different sizes when you have like options for how to use it. When you've got a rectangular bolster, you can use it this way and be up higher, or you could use it this way and be a little lower. Whereas with a circular bolster, it's just one size no matter which way you roll it. So that's one of the things I love most. They have a beautiful array of colors, and the quality is just fantastic. So definitely check them out, and big thank you to them for bringing you this series. So restorative yoga is super relaxing and wonderful for the entire body, the physical body and the emotional body as well. So if you're super stressed out or you're super tight in your physical body, keep watching, and welcome to this #1 video in the 4-part series. So with the power of television, you'll notice we have these props that have just magically appeared. That's because I'm in my studio and I just grabbed a couple other things from over there. I wanted to start this off by just explaining my intention behind this series and what you can expect from this video in particular. So this is going to be a 4-part series on foundations of restorative yoga. We're going to do some restorative yoga in the upcoming videos and probably towards the end of this video as well. But this video in particular is just more of an informational session and a little bit of what you can expect from the whole series. So I want to start this off by saying that there is a big difference between yin yoga and restorative yoga. I think oftentimes people get confused because we know power and vinyasa, and that's like the very athletic practice, and then we're like, oh, yin and restorative, and sometimes they're used as like interchangeable. And the fact is that they're not. And I only learned this within the last few years. So I want to just be honest with you in saying that when I started my YouTube channel in 2012, I believe, I often said, here's a restorative video, but it was actually yin. And then I would say, here's a yin video, but it was actually restorative. I'm only human, and I learn every single day. And I've learned that, that there's the big difference, actually. So just be mindful when you go to check out my other videos, and just check out the date. Or after this video, you'll know, okay, this isn't actually restorative, this is yin yoga. So what's the difference between the two? Yin is much more athletic. There's an effort involved. Yin is excellent for improving mobility and improving flexibility. And you might be, maybe you're not doing a whole bunch of like flow like you would in a vinyasa or a power class, but you might be sweating a lot and like your body might be shaking and you might feel like you're working really, really hard. That's because there is a whole lot of effort involved. There's tension, there's time under tension, and you're breathing and working and finding your edge and all of that. It's still slower, like restorative is. Restorative is very slow. In a restorative class that's an hour and 15 minutes, you might do 5 yoga poses the whole time. And you might be like, oh my gosh, isn't that boring? For some people, yeah, but for other people, it can be really, really relaxing. And it's hugely helpful for people who are tight, just like yin is. But restorative is different in that it is meant to help more than just the physical body. So if you're super stressed out, restorative is the one to try out. If you are anxious, restorative is the one to try. Sometimes I think people get confused and they think yoga is just this one thing. I'm going to go to yoga. Well, what kind of yoga? There's so many different styles of practices. So this is just one style. Restorative is not about effort. Restorative is about melting, relaxing, being supported by the props. It's not about holding yourself in positions and breathing and trying. There's really no effort involved, or there's very little effort involved once you get yourself into the position. Once you're in the position with the props underneath you, you're meant to just totally relax and let go and allow your body to gently open up and allow your mind to totally quiet and just relax. Whereas with yin, there's a lot more effort. You're physically holding yourself up, and there might also be, depending on what style of yin you're doing, there might be a little bit of flow in between. So you might do a yin pose and then do 1 or 2 little transitional poses to kind of flow it out and then get into the second pose in a yin class. In restorative, it is just one pose for at least 5 minutes or so, and then the next pose and the next pose, 5 poses per class maybe. So it's super, super slow, it's super melty, it's restorative, it's meant to help you restore. So the one thing you really do need with restorative yoga is props. Like I said, this video is brought to you by Carolina Mornings. They make excellent yoga gear, so definitely check them out. They're at zafu.net, zafu.net. I'll put the link in the description box so you can check it out. But essentially you have a couple options with your bolsters. You can have a rectangular bolster or a circular bolster. You already know I am a huge fan of rectangular bolsters because you have this height option or you have this height option. So if I were to do a chest opening pose, I have this option, which is going to help me to open up a bit. But if I'm already super, super open and I want to go a little bit deeper, I can flip it, and now I'm at a much higher height. And this is a much deeper opening for my chest. So that's the reason why I love rectangular bolsters. Just want to make sure my mic is still on here, versus circular bolsters, because with a circular bolster you'll just have the same option for height no matter which way you turn it. So bolsters are a must, but if you don't have a bolster at your house, you can use a couch cushion. Like, get creative with what you have at home. Don't feel like you have to run out and buy a million different props, but if it is in the budget, bolster would be my #1 recommendation for things to get. So I'm gonna use 2 bolsters for these videos. The next thing I would recommend, some blankets. You don't have to have special blankets. They don't need to be these like Mexican style yoga blankets. They could be, for sure. But you could just use a thick blanket at home. A thick towel works as well. Anything that's kind of thick so that if you were to fold it up and then lean some body weight into it, you would be supported. I'm gonna use 2 yoga blankets. And then the next thing you might want to check into are blocks. So there are lots of different style blocks. I just brought 2 over. But there's so many different styles. You can do wooden blocks, you could do foam blocks, you could do cork blocks. Now I have different loves of different style blocks depending on what type of yoga I'm doing. So if I've been doing restorative yoga, for the most part, I generally like foam blocks because they have a bit of give to them. They're a little softer, they feel nice on the body. So if I were to go back into that position and open up my arms to the side, but it felt like kind of a strain on my chest right here, and it will for some people who are pretty tight through the chest. I'll just grab a block and put it underneath my arm, and my arm just like fits perfectly on this foam block, and it just kind of sinks in, versus a wooden block might not feel that great there. The other type of block I really like is a cork block, and many different sizes as well. So there's a big style like I've got here, and there's a smaller style like here. It really doesn't matter. I do like cork a lot because it has the tiniest bit of give. It's not like a wooden block which has no give at all, which can be nice in its own way, but cork, if you could only get one type of block, I would get cork. But if you have the budget for different types of blocks, I would use foam and cork for your restorative practice, because another way, and this is what's so cool about it, it's like there's no real wrong way to use props. So we could do, essentially you make the capital letter T and then you split them apart. So this top one's going to support my head and this lower one's going to support the space in between my shoulder blades. So as I come to lie down, oh, it feels so good, oh my gosh. I can be like this. And this feels nice because it has just the right amount of give where it's not digging into my back at all, but I feel really firm and like really supported here because the cork blocks are so firm. If I were to do this same thing with the foam blocks, I wouldn't be as supported because the foam blocks are so soft. So let me try to lie down. Yeah, it's just like, it's just not as, I don't feel as secure and as stable with the foam blocks when they're underneath me like this. However, when they are just supporting, like if I were to be, this is another restorative pose, this one here, and you don't even need any props, but for most people, to have your knees hang like this, it doesn't feel very good. So grabbing a soft foam block can be really nice because your knees just kind of melt into the block. They almost feel, it almost feels like they're molding to your skin. I mean, they're not. It's not like a Tempur-Pedic block, although maybe they should think about making those. But yeah, your body can just kind of melt into them. Whereas if I were to do this with my cork blocks, it probably wouldn't feel as melty and as nice, but it doesn't feel bad. However, I know that if I were to do that with a square, completely square, well, completely rectangular wooden block, it would not feel good on my body. However, there are lots of blocks where they're like ergonomic, so they're kind of rounded and you can manipulate them different ways so your body can just, you can feel a bit of comfort. You can feel a lot of comfort actually with the right blocks. So I'm just kind of showing you some examples of how you can use different types of blocks and different types of props in your practice. The other prop that you could have is an eye pillow. It's not necessary whatsoever, but it does feel really nice. And remember, the purpose of restorative yoga is to help you restore. So not only are we trying to help the physical body, but we're also looking to calm the central nervous system as well. So if you're somebody who's anxious, somebody who's very stressed out, just placing an eye pillow over your eyes as you're in your practice can help you to relax and calm down. And a lot of them will have lavender or they'll have some sort of really relaxing, yeah, this one has lavender in it. So it'll just help to deepen your relaxation process as you move through the practice. Now, I'm gonna go out of the frame for 3 seconds to just grab a yoga strap. So yoga straps are another great thing to have, and you can use them so many ways. But like I said, restorative yoga is really different from yin yoga. So in true, proper restorative yoga, we most likely would not do a pose like this, because this requires effort. I'm pulling this leg, I'm using my arms. This is not very relaxing for me. However, you can kind of manipulate this strap, especially if I like to get those extra long straps. So what you can do is put the strap around base of your head and put the middle of your feet into the strap. Ooh. And then you can make this really cool like hammock. Now, this is not exactly doing the same thing, this is not exactly a hamstring stretch, but it is a restorative pose that sort of works on the hamstrings a bit. If you're very, very tight, you would feel this in your hamstrings. But this is a completely relaxing pose. There is no effort. I could probably take a little snooze like this. It feels very cool. So there are ways to get a similar feel from a yin pose to a restorative pose in that same way. But like I said, this is not about effort and reaching and pulling and breathing. It's not about that. It's about melting, relaxing, very little effort. So what I'd like to do now is just introduce 2 yin poses. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I said yin. 2 restorative poses that you can do right now using some props. So grab your bolsters. We're gonna use 2 bolsters here, and grab, the other thing we're gonna use are blocks, 2 blocks. And you can set your blankets off to your side. If you wanna use blankets, you can just use them over top of you. But for now, let's just use the bolsters. And what we'll do is we'll set 1 bolster down at the bottom third of your mat, like so. The other bolster is going to be at the top of your mat, like so. And again, see what's gonna work best for you. You might want it at this level, you might want it at this level, you might want to stack your blankets on top of it. There's really no right or wrong way to set up your props. The only real rule of restorative yoga is that you want to feel comfortable and supported by your props so that you can let your body melt and relax. There really shouldn't be any tension where you're like, ooh, I gotta hold myself up here. No, have something underneath you to help you just melt and relax into it. So, you're gonna bring your legs so that your knees are over top of your bolster. Now the reason we do this is because when the knees are elevated like this and they've got something underneath them, it takes the pressure off the low back. So that's our first step. Our next step is to bring the bolster to touch your sacrum. Then from here, push it about 1/3 of the way back, and then you'll come to lie down. And you can open up the arms out to the side with the palms facing up. For some of you, this is going to feel like a lot. So if that's the case, take your blocks and put them in the direction of your arm. So if this is your floor and your arm is going like, gosh, this is hard to do. If your arm is going 45 degrees, take your block and put it underneath you at 45 degrees. Don't do it like this so that your hand hangs off of it, because that's not relaxing. You want to think about what is underneath me and how can I move it so that I feel completely 100% relaxed. And then if you'd like to, you can grab your blanket and just put it over top of you. If you have an eye pillow, you can put that on as well. And then just take a deep breath in through your nose. And exhale through your mouth. And notice that as you do, your body becomes heavy. And bring some awareness to the top of your head and see if you can scan your body as you slowly bring your awareness down your whole body, just asking yourself, where can I let go a little bit more? Where can I allow my body to be heavier? And you can let go of your intentional breathing. You don't have to do the typical ujjayi yogi breath. You can let go of your intentional breathing and just let the breaths come on their own. Let your eyes begin to melt deep into the sockets. Let your tongue sink into the bottom of the mouth. Close your mouth, but part your teeth, allowing your jaw to relax. And bring some awareness to the corners of the eyes and see if you can let that space relax. And the tops of the cheeks, space between the eyebrows, and the whole forehead just totally relaxes. Move your awareness down your body to your chest and just notice the support you have underneath your upper back, and allow your chest to open up as you exhale and melt a bit more into your props, allowing your arms to be heavy. Nowhere else to be, nothing else to do. Bringing the awareness to the hips, letting them be heavy on the ground. No tension through the hip flexors or the pelvic floor or the legs. Just letting your legs be heavy as they rest over the bolster. The toes splayed out to the side. Your whole body completely relaxed. Let the screen of your mind's eye be blank. See if you can locate the switch to your thoughts. And just allow them to turn off right now. Or if that's too much, see if you can locate the volume knob of your thoughts and see if you can just turn it down a bit. Letting go of that constant narration. Just allowing yourself to be. Allowing yourself to melt, feeling fully supported. With each exhale, going a little bit deeper into your mode of relaxation. Allowing each fiber of your body to just open up. As you're ready, begin to bring the bottoms of the feet in towards one another. And you can keep the knife edges of the feet on the bolster so the knees go out to the side. And if this is a little uncomfortable for you, you could take your blankets and just fold them in half or in thirds. And just set them on the edge of your bolster so that your legs are supported, your knees are supported rather. And if that doesn't feel great, you can also push the bolster away from you and keep the knife edges of the feet on the floor with the blankets underneath you, or you could use your other blocks underneath the knees. So either one works. The most important thing with this practice is that you feel really good. So make any adjustments to your props in any way. No worries if they look totally different from mine. We just want to be sure that you feel supported enough so that there's no tension in your body as you come into the pose. And then once you make your way into the pose, just take a second to restore. So in the first pose that we did, we had kind of just achieved that sense of restoration and relaxation, and then it was time to move into the next pose. And sometimes that transition period can be a little challenging because it breaks up the sense of relaxation. So you have to take the extra time to really settle into your body and into your mind, to let go of anything that had come up, and to make your little wiggles and movements until you feel comfortable in the new position, and only then are you able to relax. So even though we did this already in the first pose, bring your awareness to the top of your head and slowly begin to scan over your face, seeing if you can begin to relax the corners of the eyes, space between the eyebrows, the entire forehead and the tops of the cheeks. Close your mouth, but part your teeth and allow your tongue to sink into the bottom of the mouth. Allow your eyes to sink into the sockets. Let your arms be heavy, fully supported by your props. Notice the weight of your upper back and the prop underneath you. Notice the expansion through the upper body in this little mini back bend that you're in. And bring your awareness to your pelvis and your hips, and just notice how effortless it is to be here. How heavy your hips can be. And allow that heaviness, that sinking sensation. Allow the earth underneath you to be your support. Bring awareness to your legs and notice the sensation of the bottoms of the feet touching. Notice the knife edges of the feet as they rest against the floor or your bolster. Notice the knees being supported by their props. And bring some awareness to the inner thighs. Noticing that in this position, they're being offered a gentle stretch. And then take your body in your awareness from your toes all the way up through the crown of your head, and just notice how effortless it is to be here in this kind of melty position, almost like you're a puddle. Just allowing yourself to sink and simply be without trying. Notice how good it feels to take the effort out of the equation. And notice the ease with which your body melts. As thoughts come to you, just see if you can lower the volume, finding that volume knob and turning it down, or maybe even turning it off completely just for now. As you're ready, begin to flutter your eyes open, maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. And slowly make your way over onto your right side. And then as you're ready, finding your way up into a comfortable seat. So I don't know about you, but I feel super relaxed. But I know not everybody does. I know that some people feel bored, some people feel frustrated, some people will fall asleep. And all of those things are totally normal, especially when you're first starting out with a restorative practice. Usually the bored thing happens to people who are constantly go, go, go. I've got to do the really strenuous activities. I can't allow myself to relax. Those are the people who, they really struggle with this style of yoga. And if it doesn't happen for you, don't be hard on yourself. Just allow yourself to notice that you're feeling bored or listless, or you've got thoughts running through your mind, and just see if you can acknowledge and say to yourself, okay, I notice that I'm bored. Let's see if I can count my breath, or let's see if I can listen to the instructor. And that's another thing, like, some instructors will talk you through it, like I just did. In other videos of mine, I usually will just get you into the pose and then I'll leave you there for 5 minutes or more, because sometimes it's just really nice to be left alone and not to have to listen to something. So it's different strokes for different folks. Some people really love a guided meditation or guided relaxation. Excuse me. Some people really do not, and they would prefer silence. Some people would prefer music, and I can't play music on YouTube because of copyright issues, but you could definitely play your own super relaxing ambiance style music in the background at your home when you're practicing. So I just say all this to kind of let you know, like, there are different ways to do this, and also to let you know that if that sense of boredom or listlessness comes up, don't be too hard on yourself. It's kind of part of it, depending on what kind of person you are. So my suggestion, if you're bored, is to either distract yourself by listening to the instructor, like really honing in on what they're saying, or count your breath, or you can just count in your head, or say some sort of mantra, like, as I inhale, I'm relaxed. As I exhale, I melt. And just keep repeating that in your mind. So you can kind of distract yourself. And that's the first step to really, like, going way deep. And down the line, with practice, with consistency, you won't have those feelings of boredom or listlessness. If feelings of frustration or anger bubble up, again, please try not to be too down on yourself. A lot of those emotions are just normal as we react to whatever's going on. And you can, once again, just like with the listlessness or the boredom, you can just say to yourself, wow, I'm feeling angry right now. I'm just gonna let that go. You can just notice and let it go without having to analyze it or trying to change. Just notice, go easy on yourself, let it go, and try to come back to, why am I doing this? I wanna feel relaxed. Okay, let's just breathe, you know? And some people might fall asleep. And if you fall asleep, it's really not the end of the world. It just means that you are probably in need of some really good deep rest. And that's what your body needs. So if it happens to you that you fall asleep, I mean, I have students, no matter how many times they come to my class, they are gonna fall asleep in a restorative class, and that's just how it is. And I think that their body just really needs to sleep, and it's fine. So don't feel any kind of way about it. It's really not a big deal. Just be easy on yourself. Another thing I wanted to mention, if you're going to a studio class or you're going to practice with me at home as we move through this series, be mindful of what you're wearing and how warm it is in either the studio you're going or the temperature that you've got your home at. So because we're not going to be moving a whole lot, you don't want to be distracted by how chilly you feel. So really feel free to bundle up, put a hat on, layer up, wear socks. It's totally cool to wear socks in restorative yoga. I know we don't normally do it for vinyasa or power, mostly because we just don't need the socks. But in this case, the socks serve a purpose, and that's to keep you warm since we're not really moving a whole lot. If you're going to do this at home, I would do it in a warm environment, like 70-ish degrees, but I wouldn't go super, super hot. And I would avoid, if a studio is offering it in a hot studio, I would avoid doing it there, only because when your body is really, really warm, the muscle fibers are stretched. And then if we're going to put the body in a very, very, very deep stretch for a prolonged period of time, you might overstretch and tweak something. So what I would say is to avoid heading to like a hot yoga studio for a restorative class. Aim for a warm studio, or turn your temperature up just a little bit in your house. You don't want to be sweating profusely, and you don't want to get to a point where you overstretch, because then the next day you're not going to feel that great because you will have overstretched. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. I'm really excited for this series. Restorative is a style of yoga that took me a long time to really get into. I mean, I started practicing yoga when I was 15. 2015, so I was all about the like, go, 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 how hard can I push myself sort of thing. And after about 5 years of that, I was like, all right, it's time to explore different styles. And this style really, really speaks to me, just because I just find it like so beautiful for both the body and the mind. So I hope that this is going to be helpful to you as well. Let me know what you think. Let me know any questions you have in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you very soon here on the YBC YouTube channel.